From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
September is Suicide Prevention Month, a time to raise awareness of this stigmatized topic. Next, a suicide survivor shares his story, trying to help others.
A monumental non-endorsement hits the 2024 campaign. I'm Jared Hill with what a major union says about the race as Harris and Trump focus on immigration.
And Montana is a leader when it comes to cattle, especially for those who prefer Angus cattle. Coming up in this week's Montana Agriculture Report, we tag along on one of the oldest cattle tours in Montana, the Montana Angus Tour.
Megan Elaine here at Bozeman Deaconess Hospital, where I caught up with the family of the teen who was involved in the fatal crash Sunday morning.
Alrighty, it is 6 o'clock on this Thursday morning. Jane McDonald and Matt Elwell with you, and my coffee's running a little low today, Matt. I gotta hit the Keurig one more time.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in that same boat. Yeah. Some cool temperatures.
That might have been it.
And the rain.
Yeah.
It was really kind of tough to get through yesterday. Yeah. Once it started drying out, very pleasant though. Temperatures this morning, crisp, cool into the 40s for most of us. To start the morning, a couple of 30s. We're sitting at 35 in Butte right now. Our skies are clearing. Good chance that we'll see some patchy fog for the morning. Folks out enjoying the morning, obviously.
Oh, is he biking or
I
is
think
he
so.
running
Yeah,
with
it's
a
hard
dog?
to tell. No, I think it's a bike.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
I need to get my eyes checked.
Me too. Temperatures into the 60s for today. Lots of sunshine. Outside of some patchy fog, we're not going to see much moisture around the area. That's all. Your whole forecast is coming up here in just about 12 minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt. Now, what should development in Bozeman look like? Well, that's the question city leaders are hoping to get some help answering. Our Edgar Cedillo explains the latest work being done to update the Unified Development Code.
On Tuesday night, the city of Bozeman kicked up its UDC process once again by holding its first work session. The city is now kicking the process back up after putting it on hold last year. The city now hopes to have the next 6 months of listening process with residents.
It's basically what's the process and the regulations around building in Bozeman.
The city of Bozeman is updating its Unified Development Code to be in line with state law.
UDC is a 400-page document, and so being able to go to the public and say, where are the issues that you really want to spend time on?
Bozeman Mayor Terry Cunningham explains how the code will affect housing density and affordability.
It's density. It's who gets to live in Bozeman because of housing costs and things like that. What zoning is appropriate for what part of town, how tall, how dense, how concentrated should our development be.
Cunningham says that they want the public to be involved in the update, so they plan on spending the next 6 months gathering input from the people who live in Bozeman.
We're not changing the growth policies. We're not changing the broad documents. We're seeing how do these code changes reflect those policies as well.
The city says that they will approve this new code by the 2026 May deadline. In Bozeman, Edgar Cedillo, MTN News.
And immigration was a major focus for former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday, with both campaigning on the East Coast. It comes as one of the nation's largest unions declined to endorse a candidate for the first time since 1996. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Amid heightened security, yesterday, former President Donald Trump rallied on Long Island, a must-win district for House Republicans in a deeply blue state.
We can win New York.
Trump vowed to reverse a cap on the state and local tax deduction known as SALT, a cap he created with his 2017 tax cuts law. The former president also promised to visit 2 cities in Ohio and Colorado, claiming they're under siege by migrants.
They're destroying our country. We're getting them out.
In Washington, Vice President Kamala Harris slammed Trump's immigration proposals at an event for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute.
They have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation in American history. How's that going to happen? Massive raids?
In a possible blow to the Harris campaign, for the first time since 1996, the Teamsters Union declined to endorse the Democratic presidential nominee, choosing instead to endorse neither candidate. The union released internal polling showing more members support Trump.
It's a great honor. They're not going to endorse the Democrats.
But multiple local chapters of Teamsters have endorsed Harris, including in Michigan.
We can't allow Donald Trump to become president.
Meanwhile, the FBI says Iranian hackers stole information from the Trump campaign and sent it unsolicited to the Biden campaign before the president dropped out. A former Biden campaign official tells CBS News that material was not used. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And the Trump campaign has accused Iran of trying to influence the election, though federal officials say there's no evidence that the recipients of the stolen material responded. Today, the former president will attend events in Washington, D.C., and Vice President Harris will appear with Oprah Winfrey at an event in Michigan later today. Now, back a little bit closer to home, a bull elk was illegally killed late on Saturday, September 14th, in Tyser Basin, south of Helena. Tyser Basin is in Hunting District 380, and it's hunted by permit only, and it's one of the hardest to draw in Montana. The elk's antlers were removed, but the rest of the animal was left behind. Also, it was killed by a firearm, despite it being archery season. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks needs help to find out who's responsible. If you have any information, report it. You can call 1-800-TIP-MONT, or you can get in touch with your local game warden. You can also report information online on the FWP website. And a 60-year-old New Hampshire woman was burned in Yellowstone National Park Monday afternoon. Park officials say the woman reportedly suffered second and third degree burns to her lower leg while walking in a thermal area near the Mallard Lake trailhead at Old Faithful. The woman was with her husband and dog when she broke through a thin crust over scalding water and suffered burns. The woman was transported via helicopter to Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center for further treatment. The incident remains under investigation and is the first known thermal injury in Yellowstone in 2024. And according to the CDC, in 2022, Montana had the highest suicide rate in the nation. September is Suicide Prevention Month. MTN's Anissa Coomer spoke with a suicide survivor who's made it his mission to help others.
September is National Suicide Prevention Month. For decades, Montana has ranked among the highest in suicide rates, ranking third in the nation in 2020.
I was still conscious and my head was hanging down, I could see my lap and there was blood all over my jeans, and I just remember the last thought being, oh wow, I actually did it.
After a suicide attempt as a teenager left Michael Woods paralyzed, he became an advocate for mental health and suicide prevention awareness.
Trying to teach people that, that there is hope on the next day, try to get to the next day and reach out for help. Those struggles and those adversities as not a roadblock, but a detour. You're still going to get where you're going on your journey, but you're just going to take a different route than you expected.
The Department of Health and Human Services cites lack of behavioral health services, cultural stigma, and higher access to firearms as contributing factors to Montana's high rate of suicide, with 90% of all firearm deaths in Montana being suicides.
I think if we can do anything for our loved ones, then if we know there is a crisis or a situation, let's make them comfortable in giving up that deadly pistol in the house or their deadly gun. It is so much faster and so much more deadly than any other method. They're afraid, people are afraid that they don't get back their gun. It's not about gun restriction or anything. It's just for the moment, let's make them comfortable.
One group especially at risk for suicide is veterans. While only making up 8.5% of the U.S. population, veterans accounted for 18% of all suicide deaths among adults.
Really, the element we're still fighting is you have to be brave to come and talk about your mental health. In reducing stigma, it is so much about having the right kind of support. And the more that we can talk about it with friends and family, I really believe is powerful.
There are numerous resources available to anyone struggling with their mental health. The most important part is recognizing the signs and asking for help. Call or text 988 and you will be connected to the 24-hour suicide and crisis hotline. For more available resources, visit our website. I'm Anissa Coomer, MTN News.
And the teens injured in last week's fatal crash east of Bozeman continue to recover. Meanwhile, still no word if charges will be brought against the 17-year-old driver, and we're told that's up to the county attorney's office once the Highway Patrol deliver their final crash report. Our Megan Elaine spoke with family members of 2 of the crash survivors.
Early Sunday morning, 1 teen died and 3 were injured in a car crash on Kelly Canyon Road. I caught up with some of the parents and family of these teens to see how they are recovering after the crash.
Hold your loved ones close. Take any sort of moment you can with them because it can be taken in a moment.
Essence Menard is the sister of 18-year-old Jason Menard. He and 3 others were in a car being driven at high rates of speed early Sunday morning on Kelly Canyon Road, east of Bozeman. The car slammed into a guardrail, continued over a creek and up an embankment, where it came to a rest at the passenger side, killing 18-year-old Madison Montgomery Lucanbill. Essence was not prepared to see her little brother Jason in this condition.
I'm used to a very vibrant, lively, go, hanging out with friends kid like any normal teen would be.
Now, he lies in a hospital bed, recovering from lacerations to his kidneys and lungs, spleen, and liver, along with a fractured pelvis. Essence took it upon herself to create a GoFundMe to help pay the medical bills.
Don't know how long he's going to be in the hospital. We don't know how much everything is going to cost.
So far, they've received 51 donations.
We've been getting like a decent amount of donations, definitely more than I was expecting, which is kind of nice, and it speaks really well to our community.
Another teen injured in the accident, 18-year-old Kimberly Curry, who was a Bozeman grad. Her family has also launched a GoFundMe for her extensive injuries. After being pinned and crushed underneath the car for over 30 minutes, she was life-flighted to the ICU in Billings, where she is currently receiving care. A statement from Kimberly's dad reads, "Everything is still in flux, but she's in good spirits and starting her path to recovery." They say their hearts go out to Madison's family. "We are not interested in participating in any actions that serve to create division or inflame negative emotions in people. Each of these children are beautiful gifts from God, and we don't want any negativity to distract from Maddie's beautiful light." For more information on how to help, visit our website. In Bozeman, Megan Elaine, MTN News.
And 5 buses of ranchers found their way to central Montana this week for the Montana Angus Tour. Montana is a leader in Angus breeding, and the tour gives producers a chance to highlight their efforts. It also gives producers from around the world a chance to learn from the experts when it comes to Angus cattle.
The state of Montana is far and away the leader in the United States. We register more Angus cattle than any other state, and along with that, all the data points and performance programs that get submitted. So we would be revered as the #1 seed stock state in the United States.
The Montana Angus Tour this year featured 400 producers from 25 states and 6 foreign countries. The Montana Tour is one of the oldest in the state, celebrating 50 years. And Montana State University has a record-setting year for enrollment, graduation, and student retention. According to a press release, MSU is Montana's first university to enroll more than 17,000 students. The diversity of student demographics has also increased, as well as the number of students taking full-time course loads. Student retention, or the number of students who return for a second fall, has also increased to a record 78.4%. Not too shabby for the Bobcats, would you say, Matt?
No, I would say you are exactly right.
I think that's pretty cool. All right, what else is pretty cool? My favorite game that we play on the morning show. Matt, what is this thing? Let me give you some hints.
Okay.
Mammal. Africa.
It has 4 legs.
4 legs, 2 ears, hooves. Go.
I
Jumps.
really don't know this one, but it looks a lot like, obviously it looks a lot like a deer. Maybe some, I don't know.
Warm. You're warm, Matt.
It's not a deer, though.
Yeah, you're warm, but just not there. I was looking for mountain bongo.
Oh, of course. That was right on the tip of my tongue.
That's your favorite animal, Matt. I thought you would get that immediately. The mohawk in the back.
Do we know where it's from?
Well, of course we do. It's Africa's rarest large mammal returning from the brink of extinction.
Great.
Specifically, it is found in the remote area of Kenya. Get this, about 100 of these guys in the wild. Only
That's
100.
Is it because they're hunted by man or hunted by...
Little bit of both.
Yeah.
Little bit of both. As you can see, they're not very tall in stature, so they're kind of easy pickings a little bit.
Yep.
But they do hide well, especially if they're in a big group. They can kind of camouflage. All right, time for that break. Coming up after the break, looking at your forecast, we're going to have some of your top stories coming your way. And also, we are going to be looking into China disinformation. What exactly is spamouflage? Well, we're going to learn a little bit more about that in just a little bit.